This Premier League Matchday 7 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code PLGP to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is absolutely no idea. The problem I've got now, my new little screen saver thing, it's quite a light background and I can never see the date. Thursday, the 3rd of October is the answer. And we are here to have a look at Premier League weekend, Matchday 7 games on Saturday and Sunday this week. Joining me from somewhere in Nottinghamshire is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Barry, how you doing? You're on mute, aren't you? Here we go. You nearly fucked it up.
I knew I was on mute. I was just quickly trying to frantically get myself off mute. So, yeah, I'm all right, albeit a little bit disappointed even before the show started. And as I'm sure a few of the listeners will be, had they seen your Twitter post today where you found some mushrooms, you've been foraging in the garden, you found some sort of fungus, and you said if it got 4 likes, that tweet, you would eat them live on the show tonight, and you haven't got them, which is very disappointing, because I found out what they were for you. They were a honey fungus. Google tells me safe to eat, no problems, better cooked than raw. Might give a little stop.
They're entirely safe to eat. Says many people will suffer from gastric problems, is what it says, Barry.
Some people, so a small amount of people, I think it said. And you've bottled it. You've let everybody down.
I have. To be fair, a couple of things. I probably should have set my stall out higher than 4 likes. You know, people do things like that and say, like, you know, if I get 500,000 retweets, you know, I'll climb fucking Ben Nevis like naked or something. 4 likes was quite a low amount of likes. Secondly, some live football to get to in a minute. Secondly, you've got to bear in mind, I've been hospitalised by both a snus and a lamb madras in the last 12 months. So I'm not sure dodgy mushrooms live on the telly is a sensible course of action for someone as delicate as me. But yeah, and they looked really nice. It looked like a little fairy tale mushroom village in the garden as well. So there you go.
Have we had the story about the snus? I didn't know you'd been hospitalised by a snus.
I wasn't hospital. I was carried out of a venue. But I told this, Barry. I did tell you the story.
Yeah, well, maybe I wasn't listening. It tends to happen.
Yeah, no, it definitely happened. And I definitely told the story. My mate Harry had one when we were waiting to start a job. And he said that the flavour of snus he had paired really nicely with his gin and tonic. So I said, oh, well, give me a go. And I put one under my lip. And 90 seconds later, I was literally carried out. I don't know what happened. And I felt like I was on a boat for about a week afterwards. It was absolutely ridiculous. The reaction to just shoving that little thing under my lip was madness. The reason I broke off there with a quick oh no is because we thought we'd live watch Man United v Porto. 8 o'clock kick-off, and Manchester United have just scored. The whole point was to watch and laugh along as they got humped. And Porto could have scored 3 times in the first 5 minutes, but Marcus Rashford's just scored his usual goal, which the keeper absolutely should have saved. And we've started a new little series today as well of listener streaks. So Joe Dollar, a regular listener, sent me a pick for this game. So we put it out on YouTube as a short. The pick that Joe gave us is over 4.5 cards. He reckons there's going to be some bother. So if Joe wins, we're going to let Joe keep going and put a streak together. So that's the thing there.
We put a league table together, couldn't we? Listeners' streaks. So you can get the longest
league table, yeah.
Your entries in if you want to play listeners' streaks. We need the next man up once Joe's finished, which might be today. You never know. He might go on a streak of none. He'll still be top of the league.
He might.
But yeah,
I feel like I've reinvented the slow roller because I was quite disappointed when the slow roller died. So this is the way I've sneaked it back in, Baz. Although the picks don't have to be like 1 to 5. But chat live and kick in. Who's in? Lee. I reckon Lee was first in, so Lee should really be first in the queue to be next up on listener streaks. Like Harry, how you doing?
I'm hoping Lee's got a note from his mother because he's an unauthorised absence from the last one. I came off the last show and thought we had no Lee, which is unusual, no Michael Roberts. I think the Backus family were missing. There was quite a few unauthorised absences on Monday night. So people need to keep an eye on that because we were keeping tabs on it.
As Callum pointed out, we've been quite inconsistent with our start times, Barry. And we've gone early again tonight. The likes of Andy's going to be getting in from football training in about 20 minutes. Because Bob hasn't gone. Bob's been off school this week with a lurgy. So he hasn't gone to training tonight, which is one of the reasons we can go a little bit sooner.
Everyone's got the lurgy. I've got a bit of the lurgy at the moment.
Have you?
Coming down with something high. And everyone that I work with is coming down with either cold, flu, COVID, something or other. I'm just getting the start of it. The back of my throat's a bit sore, a bit of a headache. But you know me, I just get on with it. Put on a brave face.
Yeah. Working class hero, Barry, aren't you?
Absolutely.
We'll have a quick scan across our Champions League picks from midweek, see how well we did. I'm going to tell you first about the network here is raising a little bit of money for the flood support for the victims of Hurricane Helen. Because quite a lot of our listeners, obviously American network. Hurricane Helen has been devastating to the people of Western and North Carolina, where we do have quite a lot of listeners. Lonty, who hosts the MLB show with me, lives out in Northern Carolina, out in Greensboro. SGPN is teaming up with the local charity mountainprojects.org to help give back. The biggest donation gets a guest spot on the college football pick show and loads of merch as well. So go to mountainprojects.org, hit flood support, help out today. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. Champions League, I went two wins and 2 losses, Barry, but my 2 wins were both plus money. Dortmund Celtic over 3.5 goals. Again, I'm too lazy to put the ladder out, but we could have gone right up the ladder. And then Arsenal under 2.5, I thought was a lovely pick at 11 to 10. So I won half a unit, Barry. So if you're staking 10 grand to play, I won you £5,000 this week. So that's easy done. And of course, don't forget Sean Longstaff shot on target. Hey, so I celebrated that. Everyone in my row was looking at us as I was up punching the air. Is it lobbed gently into the goalkeeper's arms?
I was going to say it was a very soft one, wasn't it? It was practically
It was a really, really soft one. I thought I had the 2 up at 8-1 because I backed 2 at 8-1, and there was one right up the other end, and it looked like the goalie had blocked it. And I messaged you when I got home, and you said that the defender had blocked it and it didn't get paid out. But I think it was 11 to 10 or 11 to 8 or something. My one shot on target was a bit mad. Tomorrow Cells wasn't cited, Barry. How was your week?
All right, as you say, we both absolutely nailed that Dortmund game where we said it just screamed goals. We thought Celtic might chip in with one. We thought Dortmund would win it by a few. Probably didn't predict the 7-1, but otherwise we absolutely nailed that and got that within half an hour. I took Monaco team total. They got the 1.5, but they didn't get the next step up. So it was only a 4-6 winner, the over 1.5, but they didn't get the third. And then I was obviously completely wrong on Arsenal. I thought PSG would be getting something from the game. Wrong on that one. And I can't
Did you see any of the Monaco game though, Baz?
No.
That was absolute monsoon conditions. It was one of those old-fashioned games that they played underwater. Literally, the entire pitch was caked. How anybody could run about. So I mean, the
other one for me
was
Villa.
On that was completely out the window. Like,
yeah, the other one for me was Bayern to beat Villa, and I'll hold my hands up and give credit where it's due to Villa, who were very good, great result. Happy for them. Good to see. Is what it is. Kane started, but did nout. So yeah, 2 winners, 2 losers. Move on to Premier League, where I will probably, again, as I seem to every week, hit 5 winners and 5 losers, because that seems to be my level. Need to push on.
That's fine.
Need a sort of positive week this week. I'll go 6-4. I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning Aston Villa. Congratulations. Obviously, before the game, we're getting strong Newcastle v PSG vibes of all the fans being excited. And then such a typical football supporter. Villa scored a goal in the first half, and all the fans went fucking berserk. And then it got disallowed for offside. And at that point, I was just really happy for it to be disallowed and for all them to be miserable. That was just instinct. That's not something I chose to do. And I then started really rooting for them quite hard to get beat, just because it was funny. And I never want any other football supporter to have any joy in their life. But they won, so fair play to them. They seemed quite happy. Joe Dollar, the man of the hour, Joe. The entire nation is hooked on your cards bet. Oh no! Oh, that's nearly gone in as well. It's absolutely end-to-end stuff here between Porto and Manchester United. This card tonight, Baz, 10 games. I don't know what I made of it, because I've made some, unusual pick. Not unusual. I don't know what I mean. I don't know, but I've gone with what I think. I don't make any sense. How did you find it? Because it left my head scratching. Go on, you say things.
I found it all right. I think I went into most games having an idea of where I wanted to go and found a price that I found suitable. There was one or two where I had to go digging around in other markets. But overall, I thought it was all right.
Final thing before we get going. Oh, sugar. Erik ten Hag's pen. He's got one of those pens, Baz, tonight, without all the 4 colours on it. That's a nice touch, isn't it? Yeah.
I had one of them when I was 10-year-old.
Yeah, me too. Ten Hag's got one. I don't know if he uses the different colours to mark different things down. You're like, shite, really shite. Probably should have saved that or get Rashford off, stuff like that. Or it's just coincidence, but I noticed Erik ten Hag's pen earlier on. Good name for a fantasy team, Erik ten Hag's pen. Right, we're going to start on Saturday lunchtime after I've told you about Underdog Pick'em. Got one of the biggest menus for all sports: NFL, college football, MLB, MMA, WNBA, NASCAR, and more. You can use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. Baseball playoffs tonight. NL wildcard game 3. I've been in great form this week on the playoffs. We've been doing the shows early to get them in on the day of the game. There's 2 stolen base props. Sorry, 2 total base props I like tonight. William Contreras and for the Brewers and Brandon Nimmo for the Mets. Total base is over 1.5 for both plus 155. So you want to get over to Underdog and take the higher on the total base props there. Use our code PLGP to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. Right, we kick off on Saturday at 12:30 between Crystal Palace and Liverpool. Crystal Palace are 5-1. The draw is 3-1. And Liverpool are 1-2 minus 200. Crystal Palace have no win in 6. They've played a few decent halves of football. They played one against Chelsea. They played one last week against Everton. They were 1-0 up against Everton. Probably should have been a little bit further. And then Dwight McNeil scored a wonder goal and kind of Palace unravelled a little bit. They got a 0-0 at home v Manchester United in their last home game. But yeah, just a little bit disappointing. We're still waiting for that Palace of the back end of last season to turn up. Are they going to turn up? Or was that all just a little bit of a flash in the pan? They lost to Lise, big problem. Liverpool have won 5 of 6 in the league. Their defeat was that weird 1-0 home defeat against Nottingham Forest. They've done well in the Champions League. They were very good in Milan. They weren't as convincing the other night against Bologna. It was just a weird performance. They got in front and they looked like old school Liverpool would have smashed that team 5 or 6-0. And they just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake and letting Bologna back in, who couldn't take advantage of it. And they weren't very convincing against Wolves either. Again, they got in front and let Wolves back in with another error. And and then got away with it with a bit of a silly penalty, silly bit of defending for Wolves. Palace are always competitive at home against good teams. They raucous home early kickoff. I think they can give Liverpool a game here, Baz. Palace are too big at 5-1. That's going to be my pick. I'm going to take Palace outright at 5. Let's go a bit mad. But if you want the double chance, 6-4 plus 150. Palace all the door. I think Palace are live here. This is going to be game on. Harry agrees with me. Double chance 6-4 or draw 3-1, Baz. But yeah, I'm going to give Palace a squeak here.
I'm not giving them a squeak, but I get your reasoning. I'm not against it. I'm just betting against it. Palace, as you say, still without a win. Just the 3 draws for them, 3 defeats. And 3 defeats coming against Everton, Brentford, West Ham. So not top-end sides that are beating them as well, which doesn't bode particularly well for them here, I don't think. There's been a massive drop-off for Palace from the end of last season, where they finished unbeaten in 7 end of last season, won 6 of the last 7 as well. Obviously, Elise and Anderson have left, and I think that has had an effect. And you look at, like, Man United have just scored 2-0.
Well, the fucking goal, he's just scored another own goal. He got a hologram in goal tonight, or what? He wants to show his hands on, doesn't he? That's absolutely ridiculous. It was harder to let them 2 chances go in than to stop them. He's just done it straight at him. It's like he's made you a spaghetti. Pathetic. Anyway, shite. Come on.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, obviously, Nketiah's come in and not really got going yet. No league goals. And I just found it hard to like Palace here. Up against Liverpool, who've just got the 1 slip-up all season against Forest. Outside of that, they've won 8 in all competitions. And 7 of the 8 they've won by 2 goals. They've had 5 clean sheets. And I think the starting price here for Liverpool at 1-2 isn't a bad price. I think it looks reasonable. And for that reason, I thought the handicap was reasonable. So I've gone the complete opposite of you, just because other than that Forest game, Liverpool have been rock solid. And as I say, covering handicaps as well. I prefer the handicap to the team total. I mean, they're covering handicaps, but a lot of them have been 2-0. So I don't want to go back in Liverpool scoring 3 and things like that. And also the clean sheets for Liverpool means a 2-goal could be enough for them to cover. 2 options here. The handicap minus 1.5. Liverpool to win by 2 or more at 13-10. But I think I'm going to take the safety net. I'm going to take them on the Asian handicap minus 1. Which gets me money back if Liverpool win by a single goal. So it's Liverpool minus 1 on the Asian handicap at 5-6 for me.
I'm not against it, Bart. I'm just betting against. Oh, hell. This is going to be an all-timer when Porto win this season. I'm keeping my eyes peeled on Total Network Solutions away in Fiorentina, and Shamrock Rovers are in action as well. Both 0-0. So far, I think Hearts got beat earlier on off Dynamo Minsk. Second up, favourite. What's everyone's favourite part of the week? Very quick.
Southampton getting beat?
No, it's me counting the 3 o'clock kickoffs out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 o'clock kickoffs, everybody. Well done. You'll miss that when I die, everyone. That'll be one of the things. Like on my obituary, they'll say, like, we liked it when he did that. Like when James Alexander-Gordon retired. It's a bit like that. Arsenal are the first one taking on Southampton. Arsenal are 1-7. The draw is 7-1. And Southampton are 16-1, Barry.
Yes. This game worries me. It worries me from a fantasy football point of view because I've got no Arsenal players in my team. And I think this could be ugly for Southampton. I mean, a few weeks ago, we were looking at Arsenal. All their games were going under 2.5. We went for that in the Man City game, and that seemed to be the turning point. I know you played the unders again in the PSG game, which was obviously a good spot. But I think generally the tides turned a little bit in terms of goals in Arsenal games. They had the 2-2 against City, 5-1 against Bolton, 4-2 against Leicester. And even the 2-0 last night, it's an unders, but it's a good sign for the Arsenal attack coming into this. So I definitely feel like Arsenal will get some goals, yeah. Southampton don't have a clean sheet yet. 4 of their last 6 games in the league, they've conceded 3. Bournemouth, Man United, Brentford. have all scored 3 against them, and even Cardiff in the Cup scored 3 against them, and Cardiff aren't very good. I think an Arsenal clean sheet's definitely in play here also. So I left myself with 2 options. The Arsenal handicap. This would need to be probably -2.5. So Arsenal would be needing a 3-0 or a 4-1. And I think if either of those scores were to come in, or a greater score possible, then the pick I've actually went for could win as well. It's Arsenal to win both halves for me. Still leaves me with a 2-0 on my side, so a 1-0 either half would do us as well. So I don't need necessarily a 3-goal Arsenal victory to cash this one. It's around even money as well, and I just can't see this being anything other than a straightforward Arsenal win. Really good result for them last night. Might have taken a bit out of them, but I think they'll be okay. Not last night anyway. It was a Tuesday night. Plenty of time in between the games, but yeah, pick for me, Arsenal to win both halves against Southampton at evens.
Yeah, that's one of the picks that we've been one of our go-tos when we say you want a 7 shot, isn't it? Arsenal and Manchester City. It was my pick last week against Leicester. They won the first half 2-0. So I've actually steered away from it this week. Remarkably comfortable for Arsenal against PSG in the week. Bit of an odd one against Leicester last week because at half-time at 2-0, you wouldn't really have predicted what went down in the second half. The comparison games... Hang on, I'm looking at the wrong game there. I'm doing Brentford Wolves. So basically, this is the same handicap as last week, but I need to pick a winning bet on it. Southampton were cack again on Monday, 3-0 down at half time. So Arsenal 2-0 up at half time last week. 2-0 up at half time in the Champions League, I believe. Both goals in the first half. Is that right? I was out. Southampton conceded 3 in the first half last week. First half goals is the angle, but over 1.5 first half goals total, not just Arsenal. Over 1.5 first half goals is 21-20 plus 105. Next up is where are we going? Brentford in the 3 o'clocks. No, it's not. Why are Man City higher on the list than Brentford?
Brentford are next on my list.
Brentford are next on my list, but on Bet365 lists, it's got Man City next. Brentford take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Brentford are even money. The draw is 13-5 plus 260. Wolves 13-5 plus 260. Brentford 3 weeks running where they've scored inside 40 seconds, which is quite miraculous. 1-1 draw with West Ham last week. Given that they started 1-0 up, quite disappointing, I would suggest, for Brentford. They've had a really tough start, actually. So the 3 away games have been really difficult for them. Tottenham, Liverpool and City. But the 3 home games, 7 points they've taken. All have had both teams to score. And Porto are back up. It's 2-1. Here we go. This could be 3-2 by the time you... I know you're about a minute behind. Sorry, Barry. I will. It's just Callum's put the Rangers game on. Callum, turn it over. We're back on. All both teams to score in the Brentford home games. Wolves have got 1 point. Wolves have had an incredibly tough start. All 6 fixtures. Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Liverpool. Gary O'Neill still thinks they're playing well, which is a sign of confidence or absolute madness. And I think we'll find out in the next 3 or 4 weeks which one it is. I think Wolves look good turn here. I think Brentford have to regress a little bit. They're not as good as the record suggests at the moment. They're missing Johan Wissa. That's going to catch up with you eventually. It's the law of diminishing returns. I'm going to give this to Wolves, Baz. Away win for the Wolves, 13-5 plus 260.
Nice. There's a few of these teams who haven't got wins where I think this could be the week. So I don't mind Wolves at all. It's not where I've went. Shame you can't get a price on Brentford to score in the first minutes, isn't it? Like, even if it was like first 5 or first 10 or something like that. Brentford have gone okay. 7 points so far. Defeats to City, Liverpool and Spurs, though. So the defeats coming in tougher games shows they have had a tricky start. But the same set of Wolves, you've mentioned it there. They're yet to play a side in the bottom half of the table. Just 1 point to show for their efforts, but a really, really tough run of games. And I do feel there'll be a turning point soon with fixtures turning and potential for them to get them some points on the board. I think this could potentially be the game. But there's one stat that jumped out for me for both sides. Both teams to score. It's hitting 5 of 6 for both teams. Wolves have seen both to score and over 2.5 in their last 4 games. And 4 of the last 5 Brentford games have also hit both teams to score and over 2.5. Neither side can keep a clean sheet. Goals, there's goals in it, definitely. Both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 21-20.
Okay, nice, Baz. We move on. Let me mention Rhythm, our proud partner. Rhythm, the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform, helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds, get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model or copy one of the top performing models. It's got tons of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Rhythm likes the New York Giants this week. Big underdogs against the Seahawks on the spread and on the money line. Rhythm is telling me. And BetUS as well. Bets for the best in the business. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. Easily deposit using crypto. You can get lightning fast payouts. Use our link to sign up. Get 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS with the promo code SGPN so they know that we sent you. BetUS is America's favourite sportsbook. Yellow card, Joe Dollar. Here we go. Half an hour in. #1, Joe. You better start researching tomorrow's pick because you're going to be back in the chair. Next game, 3 o'clock Saturday. Leicester City taking on Bournemouth. Leicester are 21-10. The draw is 11-4 plus 275. Bournemouth are 15-13 plus 115. Barry.
Yeah, so this one for me was almost a replica of the last game, the one we've just covered, which was Bournemouth and Wolves. Basically, because it looks like goals again for me. Leicester struggling in terms of points and in terms of league position, but not struggling to score. They scored 8 goals in the 6 games so far. Nobody shut Leicester out yet. So both teams to scores hit in every single Leicester game. And Bournemouth looks similar. They can't keep a clean sheet. They haven't got a clean sheet so far this season. They were shut out by Chelsea and Liverpool, but their other 4 games have all hit the both to score. I found this a hard game to predict in terms of winners. Bournemouth probably rightly favourites, having just brushed aside Southampton. But Leicester have been competitive enough at home to want to factor them in. Spurs and Everton both only came away with a point from Leicester. And that tells me Leicester could get something here against Bournemouth. I like the goals against exactly the same pick, both to score and over 2.5 goals. Leicester v Bournemouth at 10-11.
There's another yellow card there, Joe. Stack them up. That's old mackerel Phil Twisty get Bruno Fernandes as well. Has gone in the book. So Leicester, no wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. Draws against Tottenham, Palace and Everton. Both teams to score in all 6 of the Leicester games. Over 2.5 in 4 of those. They've been competitive. I'll give them that. Bournemouth, 1-2, drew 2, lost 2. Away from home, they drew at Forest. 1, in brackets, also lost at Everton. And they were beaten easy against Liverpool. I can't pick Bournemouth away at this price. They're too short. And I can't pick Leicester. It's home. You just said you found it difficult to pick a winner. Exactly the same, Baz. I could pick either team at a bigger price. I could pick Leicester at 3-1. I could pick Bournemouth at 13-8 or something. But not at these prices. So I had to dig into it a little bit deeper, Barry, and I've gone into shots market again. This has been working out all right here. What I've gone is, I'm just breaking off here because Porto are going to score in a minute. Get in the goal. Oh, it's gone in. Yes, Man United's lead did not last 30 minutes, 2-2. The absolute divvies. So in Leicester's 6 games, Barry, their total shots has been 5-9-9, 12-10 and 7. Now, they've had some tough games in there, I'll grant you. But the 12 shots came against Everton. The 10 came against Fulham. The 9 came against Palace. The line here on Leicester shots is 12.5. So they haven't done it in 6 games at all. They haven't done it in the 3 games against fairly comparable opposition. So Leicester under 12.5 shots. That's 5-6 minus 120. Next game is the final. No, it's not the final one. It's the 4th 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday between Manchester City and Fulham. Manchester City are 1-4 minus 400. The draw's at 6-1. Fulham are 17-2 plus 850. Man City have drawn 2 games in a row. Now, this is nominally easier. Fulham are nominally easier opposition than Arsenal and Newcastle. But Fulham are in really good form. Unbeaten in 5. Back-to-back wins against Newcastle and at Nottingham Forest. Fulham have had 2 clean sheets and conceded only 1 goal in the other 4 games. So Fulham are looking quite steady at the back, not something you normally associate Fulham with. Manchester City, to me, looked a little bit bereft last week against Newcastle. When I saw the starting lineup, I was like, yeah, we can handle that. Once Big Dan Burnett pocketed Haaland, but Silva looked a little bit of a fish out of water out wide. Grealish obviously never contributes anything. The XG was under 1 for Manchester City. That, coupled with Fulham's defence, I think they can hold them. The bet I've got, Baz, is the Manchester City team total under 2.5. That's 5-6 minus 120. They might win. Might just be one of those standard 2-0s or 2-1s. But I don't think Man City are going to run up a score here. Man City team total under 2.5. 5-6 minus 120.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I looked at it, I thought City 1-4 isn't as short as I expected to see. Just because City haven't lost a game at home for about 6 years. It's a weird
price. Like, Fulham, even 2 weeks ago, would have been 12-1.
But that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, have the books shortened this so much because of last week's result, because of Rodri? But then you look at Fulham's form. Fulham's form's good. But I actually went back and looked at what price were Man City at home to Brentford the other week. They were 1-7 against Ipswich. They were 1-11. So 1-4. Immediately, I thought that's slightly bigger than I expected, and then thought I can probably find something on City here. They are unbeaten in 10 months in the league. And I keep saying nobody can remember when they last lost a home game. I did actually find out. It was November 1920. Sorry, not 1922.
1920?
No, November 2022. So they're almost 2 years since they last lost at home. So 1-4 is probably about as big a price as you're going to get for City against a mid-table side. They struggled a little against Newcastle, as you say, but that was an away game. Newcastle have a tendency to be hard to beat at St James's in those big games. They obviously bounced back yesterday, came back, won 4-0 against Bratislava. I think it'll be business. I think they'll be back to business as usual. Foden got a good run out in midweek, might be in line for his first league start. De Bruyne will still be out, we know that. I think they've got enough. But Fulham are going well. I was surprised. Fulham have sort of creeped up in terms of their form. Because I think I remember 2 weeks ago saying they'd been a little underwhelming. But obviously they're now unbeaten in 5 and they've won the last 2. Forest and Newcastle, who were both unbeaten at the time as well. So they've broken a couple of unbeaten runs. I'm not sure they'll beat City's unbeaten run. I wasn't really sure where I was going to go here. City handicaps haven't been great this season. They've played 5 home games, I think it is, in all competitions. They've had a 4-1, a 2-1, a 2-1, and then a 2-2 draw and a 0-0. So they've only caught the handicap versus Ipswich in that 4-1. I mean, the 2 draws were Arsenal and Inter, which is obviously better competition than we've got here. I mean, your pick can still land with mine. I think they'll win here and they'll grab 2 or 3 goals in the process. And I spotted this and I just thought it was a fair price. Over 2.5 goals is very short at 4-9. But City to score in both halves at 4-5 was what I liked. I think they'll just be efficient. They'll get the job done. They'll get one early and then they'll tick one away later on. And City to score both halves at 4-5 will be my pick.
That's fine. Goal in each half, win 2-0, Baz.
Yeah.
Lee wants to double up Arsenal and City to win both halves at 4-1. Fulham to score in the first half from Bootle. And Harry's with me on the 2-0 Manchester City. We go to the final 3 o'clock on Saturday is West Ham United, who take on Ipswich Town. West Ham United are 4-5, -125. The draw 14-5, +280. Ipswich 16-5, +320. Bazza.
Another one, which could be one of the teams without a win, in with a chance, Ipswich. I think this one was a really quick pick for me. Is it my best pick of the week? Probably not. Will it be a winner? Possibly. But just following the form, following the trends, it just jumped off the page. These two are 1 position apart. They're 1 point apart in the league. Ipswich 15th on 3 points. West Ham 14th on 4 points. Ipswich lost to Man City, lost to Liverpool. They've steadied the ship since. 4 draws on the spin. Can't win a game, but they aren't losing games. It's actually 5 successive draws for Ipswich if you count the cup game as well, where they drew in 90 minutes and got beat on penalties. West Ham on the other side also find themselves struggling to win games. They've also got no win in 5. But they are able to lose games, albeit against good oppositions. The defeats have come against Liverpool, City, Villa, Chelsea. But they also failed to beat Brentford. They failed to beat Fulham. And I just think you've got a game here where you've got 2 teams in a winless streak. Can't win. The draw looks like an obvious pick. I didn't go there because I can add Ipswich into the mix and still get even money, because I think Ipswich is one who could eventually get off the mark today. I think the Ipswich double chance just stands out. Ipswich aren't losing. West Ham aren't winning. So just take the double chance. Ipswich double chance at 19-20.
Yeah, I think you had to factor Ipswich in, Baz, where West Ham are shite. Managers losing it. West Ham are very capable of this kind of implosion as well. We've seen these a lot recently. They're absolutely capable of putting a run together like this. They've got 1 win, 2 draws, 3 home defeats. They've lost all 3 of their home games. Difficult opposition, I'll give you that. Villa, Chelsea, and Manchester City, the other one. Yeah, Ipswich 4 draws in a row. I can't decide if Ipswich's form is good form or bad form. I want to keep. See, do you know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah,
season starts here again, week 7. Ipswich's season starts again. But one team can't win. You see, I've made similar notes to here, Baz. One team can't win, and the other team's not losing. But my angle was 4 of Ipswich's games have finished under 2.5. And 3 of West Ham 6 have finished the same. West Ham have only scored twice in 3 home games, and one of them was an OG. Manchester City scored the OG. Ipswich have had a 0-0 v Brighton on the road, and they had a 1-1 at Southampton. So there's enough there for me to take under 2.5. And it's good plus money price. It's 5-4 plus 125. This is one of the few. I ended up with quite a few unders. So I've just gone Leicester under shots, Man City under team total, this game under 2.5. And I've got another one coming up as well. So at the start, when I was trying to say I felt a bit odd about some of the picks, I think this is what it was. I've got sort of 4 unders on my card again, but the more I looked at them, the happier I was with them. So yeah, we'll crack on with it. Under 2.5 between West Ham and Ipswich. Player props. Lee's gone for Liam Delap. 2 shots on target at 3-1. Yeah, he looks all right, doesn't he, Liam Delap? The really slow step over might fool a few people. Tea time on Saturday is Everton taking on Newcastle United. Everton are 13-5 plus. No, they're not. Everton are 11-5. You fucking hell! I've got the wrong odds on the old banner there, Baz. Everton are 11-5 plus 220. The draw is 16-5 plus 260. Newcastle are 15-13 plus 115. This, Barry, is one of my worst 3 weekends of the year. Behind the 2 games against Liverpool, away at Everton, I fucking hate it. I'm just waiting for something terrible to happen. Whether it's a last-minute equaliser, matey chaining himself to the goalpost, and us getting beat with a winner. It went in about 10:15 when I think we'd drawn 1-1. Dave Haran pretending to phone his dad, telling me Paul Dalglish had scored an equaliser in 1997 when I was in the Saracens, said, the list of terrible things is absolutely endless. Mad Tommy Gravison half killing Olivier Bernard in about 98 as well. It's all shite. I absolutely hate it. Everton got the first one against Palace. Don't quite know what to make of that, because in the first half they were up against it, showed a bit of character, I suppose. And obviously that was the first week I hadn't talked Everton up. I talked them up 5 weeks in a row, and then managed to get off them when they did eventually win. Branthwaite's back, which makes a huge difference. He's one of their best players. He's probably their best player or most important player. It's not complicated. You get your best players back, you're going to be a little bit more competitive. Newcastle confused me.
Branthwaite's picked up a knock today, apparently, Malcolm. He's a doubt for the weekend. Yep.
Oh, that doesn't change my pick at all, but it makes, hopefully we'll a bit more likely to get a win. Newcastle were good against Manchester City last week. I thought they were really good, but I still want to see a decent away performance before I can pick them. I haven't seen one for fucking 18 months, Barry. It's been such a long time. So, as I very often do on the Newcastle games, Barry, I chickened out. And I've gone into the cards market. However, the more I looked at it, I really like it. There's no love lost, really, between these two teams. There's been quite a lot of stuff going on down the years. It's a tea time kick-off, so everyone's had a little bit of extra beer. The crowd are going to be raucous. Pickford's going to be A, being a knobhead, and B, getting loads of stick for being a knobhead. Joe Linton, over 3.5 headlocks is a lot. Anthony Gordon, winding people up completely. Harry's just mentioned in the chat he thinks Gordon's a lock for a yellow card. But in the Newcastle matches, Baz, the last 4 matches against Manchester City, 8 yellow cards in that game. Against Fulham, 6 yellow cards. Against Wolves, 6 yellow cards. Against Tottenham, 8 yellow cards. The line here is 4.5. 5-6 minus 120. 4.5's like no yellow cards nowadays in the Premier League. Like, you start on 4.5 yellow cards. That's what you get in the tunnel before it kicks off. This will end up on 7 or 8. We could even get up the ladder. Once again, I have been unable to be asked to go up the ladder. But if you want, get up there. Once Gordon starts a little riot, Fabian Schär goes Raj, and Joe Linton wants to kill everyone. There'll be about 9. Over 4.5 cards, 5-6 minus 120, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like this game at all for all the reasons you've mentioned. I mean, yes, Newcastle played better last week. That was at home in a game where the pressure's always off a little against City. There's no pressure on Newcastle there to get anything. And now we're away from home, and that strikes a fear into any Newcastle fan these days, as we're so unpredictable on the road. Did go away and beat Wolves, but we failed to beat Bournemouth, failed to beat Fulham. Lucky, really, not to have had 2 defeats from those. And, of course, the 3-0 defeat last year at Goodison, still fresh in the memory. Everton, of course, have struggled, as you mentioned, got the first win last week, boosted by the return of Branthwaite. And as I've just mentioned to you, might be short-lived. There is a rumour he's picked up a little bit of I think it was a quad injury in training, and is now a doubt for the weekend. We'll see how that turns out. I'm going to absolutely hate myself for this one. But you're right. You shouldn't be back in. It's all right.
Do you just think Rashford was going to score?
Yeah, Rashford looked like he was going to score, and then he didn't.
I already knew he'd missed. It's fine, but
that happens. Yeah, I'm going to hate this one because, as you say, we shouldn't be back in Newcastle until you've seen something from them. But I was looking at it and thinking, if this was another sort of top 8 side, similar to Newcastle, let's say it was Chelsea or Villa or Spurs away to Everton, at this sort of price, 23-20, I'd be saying it was a good price. So I feel like I've got to take Newcastle at this price against Everton. One game all season. It is throwing Everton, man. Don't be daft, man.
Just take Everton. Don't spoil it.
Throwing a lot of trust in last weekend's results being a turnaround for Newcastle. I'm not bothered about a flat performance in midweek. That was a heavily rotated lineup. Gordon looked better last week. Tonali's back in the starting lineup now. There will be no Isak game. We're expecting him to be missing. But Newcastle are going to win, Malcolm. Take Newcastle at 23-20 to beat Everton.
All right, I'll text you at 8 o'clock on Saturday night when we've lost 4-0. So the ghost's been back. My teenage daughter has just passed through. But every time she comes in, mainly to go into the fun cupboard, There's a little shadow comes along behind. It looks like I've got a ghost, which the comment was quite enjoying. So she did come back and do a little funky dance on the way back too. Cree's joined us. Cree, how you doing? Player prop, Bootle has gone with the classic Dwight McNeil 2 shots on target. That's very much a Premier League gambling podcast pick, that. It was that Dutch fella, wasn't it? What happened to him? Is he dead?
Yeah, it was Tease, wasn't it? So he was in the Discord. He used to be great with his shot picks. And there was a couple of times he put Dwight McNeil out. I got Dwight McNeil at one point for shots on target, and I got him for 100-1 to score 2 goals, and he went and done it. It was against Brighton. It was that bonkers game there.
Brighton,
yeah, that was brilliant.
I hope he's not dead. Yes, all right, great. Over 6.5 cards for Joe, plus 350. What else we got in there? I think that's it. Right, next up is Sunday, the 6th of October. This won't take long. 2:00 kickoff is Aston Villa against Manchester United. Villa are 5-4, plus 125. The draw is 27-10, plus 270. And Manchester United are 2-1. Barry.
Well, tonight's game so far is feeding exactly into where I've gone with my pick, so it helps me immensely. I mean, first point here is I just don't know how you can bet against Villa at the minute. 7 wins from 9 games in all competitions. The only defeat coming to Arsenal. Ipswich draw would have been a slight disappointment, but only because of how well they're doing either side of that, with really good form coming into it, and then following it up with a win against Bayern Munich last night. You're not worried about the midweek game for them because they've got an extra day's rest. Man United playing tonight. So Villa should be a little bit fresher. I think Villa are a good price here, 5-4. Because they're consistent, you can trust them, you know what you're going to get. Man United are the exact opposite. You've no idea what you get from one week to the next. So Villa aren't a banker by any stretch, but you can back Villa at 5-4 a lot easier than you can look at Man United 2-1 and think that's anything worth taking. Just 3 wins in 8 competitive games for Man United, 3 defeats in there. There's a risk some of these players have already stopped playing for Ten Hag. I don't know what's going on. Villa should win this. 5-4 is a good price, but just in case Man United do anything silly like they've done tonight, I'm taking the Villa team total. It's 5-6 for Villa to score 2 or more goals. Villa have done this in 5 of their 6 Premier League games so far. They score 2 goals every week, and they can definitely score 2 goals against Man United. So my pick will be Villa to score 2 or more at 5-6.
This was a 10-second handicap for me. I think you're being kind to Man United when you're saying you don't know what you're going to get week in, week out. You do. Shite. They've got involved in a shootout tonight, which is 2-2. But the keeper's hooked 2 in. Keeper's got to save both of them. And even then, all right, lads, let's get through to half time. Let's slow it down. They're back at 2-2 again against the Portuguese team. It's absolute bollocks. Villa just beat Munich. Man U were pony. That was my handicap. Villa 5-4 plus 125. Fucking ridiculous. 2:00 kickoff. Chelsea take on Nottingham Forest. Chelsea are 1-2 minus 200. Harry, tell us what's going on here. The draw is 7-2. Nottingham Forest are 11-2 plus 550.
I know what your pick is, yeah.
You know what my pick is?
Yeah. It's probably the same as my pick, but let's go.
I did give a little clue earlier on that some of my picks, Barry. So I'm into Chelsea at the minute. I still hate them, obviously. But they've been quite a good. I feel like they're quite easy to back because they've been decent prices and they keep winning. That's 7-10 last week. It's a totally workable price for them to knock over Brighton. 4 wins and a draw since they lost against City. Scoring lots of goals. Not too many patterns in their play. Forest lost their first game last week at home to Fulham. Missing Morgan Gibbs-White in that one, which is going to be a problem for them. He's obviously back this week. They've won 2 and drawn 1 of their away games. They had 2 1-0 away wins, headlined by that win at Liverpool, obviously. 5 of their games have gone under 2.5 goals, Forest. And actually, even though Chelsea scored 6 against Wolves and 4 against Brighton, 3 of their 6 games have gone under 2.5. It's a big price, but I think it's worth a punt. Chelsea win this 2-0, Baz. Under 2.5 is 11-8 plus 137.
Yeah. I see where you've gone. I knew where you were going. I think Chelsea at 1-2, if we'd looked at this like back end of last season or start of this season, would have thought it was a madness for Chelsea against anyone. Now, looking like they're getting it together, probably a fair price, but not one I particularly want to take because Forest are a good side. They're tough to break down. They've only conceded 5 goals in the 6 games. Only Liverpool have conceded less than Forest. And they've only lost the once that defeat against Fulham last week, as you say, without a talisman as well there. Chelsea have just won 4 on the bounce. They've scored 13 goals in the process. But I just think the books are underestimating the Forest defence a bit here. Chelsea have had a nice run of fixtures. And I'm not saying Forest is a sudden step up from the likes of Bournemouth, West Ham, Wolves, Brighton. But they might just be able to keep it tight, as Palace did. Palace went to Chelsea and got a 1-1 draw. Chelsea games are full of goals lately, but the books are expecting it again. And I think this game is going to book the trend. Over 2.5 is too short. Forest games have gone 5-1 to the under. Chelsea games have gone 3-3 to the under. Plus money. Or under 2.5 is the pick for me here. Hating unders bet, but I've gone for Chelsea unders also. I've got a 13-10. Under 2.5 goals. Chelsea v Forest, 13-10.
Plus 130. I got plus 137, Baz.
Nice.
Yeah, you can have the extra 7th of a
It's not very often.
0.7.
It's not very often I pull out an unders pick. So reassuring that you've. Well, is it reassuring?
Well, isn't it though? Because I've got 4 of the fuckers, haven't I? So
yeah, that's true.
no, it's a good pick, Barry. Which shows your process is not entirely corrupted.
Thanks.
TNS have made it a half-time 0-0 against Fiorentina. So they're similar level to Man United. Right, one more game. Right here, Buzz. 4:30 is Brighton and Hove Albion against Tottenham Hotspur. Brighton are 15-8 plus 187. The draw is 3-1, and Tottenham are 6-5 plus 120. Barry, finish us off with a winner.
Well, gone from an unders in the last game here, which surely got to be goals, hasn't it? Same game finished last year, 4-2 to Brighton. Brighton have reverted back to type a little bit in the last few weeks. 15 goals in the last 3 Brighton games. 3 consecutive over 3.5 goals. So 2 teams here who generally look good for goals in an attacking sense. They're both into double figures already this season in terms of goals scored. The fly in the ointment for the goals is the Spurs defence. They've been defending well. Another team, they've only conceded 5 goals so far. So I did want to take something with attack in mind. And having watched Spurs last week have 24 shots against Man United. Now, I know they're up against 10 for a lot of it, but a lot of them shots came in that first half before the red card. They had 23 shots against Brentford. They had 15 against Arsenal, where Arsenal pretty much held them at arm's length. And they had 20 shots against Newcastle. The line for Spurs shots is 14.5. Now, it looks low, I think, when you look at Spurs' form for this. I can see why it is low. Brighton haven't given up big numbers in terms of shots conceded. In fact, only Arsenal have managed 15 this season against Brighton. But the books have got Spurs as favourite here. The books have got Spurs to score the most goals. And the books are expecting at least 4 goals. It's 10-11 for over 3.5 goals. So with that, they're expecting an attacking game. The total match shots is lined up at 30. So if you're giving me Spurs to get 15 of them at around even money, I think that's fair. They've got 20s and 25s all over the shop in their form this season, Spurs. The pick is Spurs over 14.5 shots on goal at 10-11.
Spurs shots, that's been my angle the last 3 weeks, Baz. You've stolen that, haven't you?
Well, not really,
You have. Brighton threw in a bit of a mad one last week against Chelsea. I don't know what any of that was about. Really hard to analyse. I think you're best off taking that game out. If you're trying to analyse their form, the previous form is more accurate, I would suggest. 1 win and 2 draws at home. Tottenham are entirely unpredictable. 1-1 drew, 1 lost, 1 away from home. The Man United result is hard to analyse because Man U was so bad. The red card clouds it. Anyone who's saying, "Oh, we had a red card," how was that rescinded? By the way, didn't we? Well, we talked about that on Monday, didn't we? Oh, shaking my fist in the style of an angry neighbour. That getting rescinded. Really hard to analyse because I don't know what was going on. It was funny, but I don't know if Tottenham were any good or it was just Man United being ridiculous. Brighton have drawn 3 out of the last 4. And I'm getting 3-1 for a draw between 2 very evenly matched teams here, Baz. I think Tottenham are probably a little bit better, but Brighton have the home advantage, which I think just balances it out. Like I say, Brighton, 3 draws out of 4. Draws at 3-1. Much worse prices here for a draw. There's all up and down the card. I'm seeing draws at 13-5, 27-10, 11-4. I mean, that's probably the 3rd biggest price on the card for a draw. And it's my favourite one. So I'm going to take the draw. I'm not going to take the 1-1 of the week, though, because it'll probably be 2-2, Barry, which fits in. If you've got an ambulance or something in your room, there's a proper red flashing. What's going on? You all right?
It's just the TV. It's just the TV reflecting off the wall.
No, it looks like you're on dialysis or something. Right, okay. Draw 3-1. Done, Barry. Lock dog, fancy stuff. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go? What do you want to do?
Yeah, kick us off, Malcolm. Where do you want to
go? Okay. I'm going to go with my lock is Everton and Newcastle over 4.5 cards. I think as a starting point, that's ridiculously low. And I think the way the game's going to pan out, we can absolutely get over that. So I don't think I've ever locked anything up in a Newcastle match before, but it's got nothing to do with the score. So I'm happy with that.
My lock, I'll do my lock then before you move on. My lock is City to score in both halves at 4-5 will be my lock.
Nice. Underdog, considered throwing out Crystal Palace, but not going to be as brave. I'm going to go with Wolves. They've got to win a game soon. Gary O'Neill keeps telling me how good they are. So I'm going to believe him. And Brentford are on the way, regressing to the mean, Brentford. So I'll take Wolves as my dog, Barry.
I've got Ipswich at 16-5 to beat West Ham. As I say, I think there's potential for a few of these, the likes of Wolves, the likes of Ipswich, potentially Leicester, to get results this weekend. So I've gone for Ipswich.
And for my goal scorer, I did want to get to that Palace match. So not only I've got the scorer, I've got how he's going to score, Barry, which is nice for everyone. It is JP Mateta, 9-1 to score first, 3-1 any time. But Crystal Palace to score a penalty is 9-1. And I like that play, Baz. So they're going to get a penalty. They're going to score the penalty. Mateta's going to score it. So anyway, around 9-1, 3-1. Mateta to do all sorts of bits there from the spot, Baz.
Yeah, my scorers, Mbumo, is going really well at Brentford. Mbumo, 7-4, anytime scorer, 5-1 first and last.
Okay, corned beef pie, accumulator. I've got a 4-timer, both teams to score. Palace, Liverpool, Brentford, Wolves, Leicester, Bournemouth, Brighton, Tottenham. Pays 5-1, Baz.
Yeah, so my corned beef acca is an over 2.5 acca, and it's got 2 of your both teams to scores in there.
Oh, nice.
That's good omen. Brentford v Wolves, West Ham v Ipswich, Leicester v Bournemouth, over 2.5 goals in all of them is at 4-1.
Okay, steak and Stilton for the fancy pie. Wolves to win, Brighton and Tottenham to draw, and I threw in Arsenal to win just to get it from 14s to 16s. So if the first 2 come in and Arsenal fuck it up, I'll not be very impressed. But yeah, Wolves win, Brighton, Tottenham draw, Arsenal win 16-1, Baz.
And this one's a bit fruity from me here. I've gone to the same 3 games that I've taken from the overs, but I've taken the underdog in every one. It's 3 teams who haven't won a game this season, all to win a game this season. It's Wolves, Ipswich, Leicester. So Wolves to beat Brentford, Ipswich to beat West Ham, Leicester to beat Bournemouth. Comes in around 50-1.
What? Say that again.
50-1. Wolves, Ipswich, Leicester. 3 winless teams all to get the first win on the same weekend. Big long shot.
Fair enough. James has just joined us. Welcome along. A little bit late, but you got your loyalty card stamped, mate. Don't worry about it. James is stuck at work somewhere in Toronto on that. Scorer, Steve. I think that's it. Apart from Baz's ladders. Baz, come on.
Yeah, so I'm back in the Spurs game, and it's very much like me picking the Spurs game as my main pick, where the Spurs form looks great for it, but the Brighton side of it doesn't look great. But I've gone into the corners. Spurs, we know, have been full of corners all season. 56 corners in 6 games so far. So they're averaging over 9 a game. I'm going to look very silly if Spurs struggle at Brighton here, because I've dived into their shots and now their corners. The Brighton form doesn't lend itself to this. They are only giving up around 4.5 corners per game. However, Spurs are full of them. Spurs have hit double figures 3 times this season. They've got 12s, 13s, 14s all over the place. They've only failed to clear their starting line here once, and that was last week against Man United. Spurs over 5.5 corners is the first step on the ladder. Oh, that's 6-5. Over 6.5 Spurs corners is 9-4. Over 7.5, 15-4. Over 8.5 is 13-2. Over 9.5 at 11-1. And we'll stop at 10.5. Spurs to get 11 corners or more, 16-1. Get up the ladder.
If there's any normal luck in the world, Baz, you'd smash that this week. Because I took a Tottenham corner ladder last week, and they got in position to get 1,000 in the first half. And would it go over that byline for a corner? It came back off the forward and went for a goal kick. It hit the corner flag and went the other side for a throw-in. Someone would just keep it in. There was a hooked clearance. They could have had millions. You know, in that position where you win corners, inside right, inside left, down the channels. And it just wouldn't go. It took about half an hour. And honestly, they could have been on 10 by the time they got the first one. So if that evens itself up, Baz, you're on for a good weekend. Champion, Baz, do you have anything else to tell us about before we let the people go and we can settle down to watch the final bit of Man United fucking this up?
The capitulation, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them finish 4-2 down. Nothing else from me. Let's just have a good weekend, eh?
Yeah, completely agree. Same. Cheers, everybody. Chat was live and kicking as per Sunday night or Monday night.
Don't forget to keep looking at the YouTube shorts, because Joe Dollar might be on a streak if we get these 5 cards in this first game.
How many cards have we had so far in the first half, do we think?
Just 2, I think. Van Nistelrooy got one on the bench as well, didn't he? Obviously, that doesn't count. I'm just having a quick look, because I might have missed one.
Me too. No, 2, 1 card each. All right, Joe. So we need another 3. And then I expect to wake up to a pick for anything you like on Friday. Oh, hang on a minute. Just before we sign off, he's cleared through. Oh, Anana saved it. Shitheads. Right, we'll see you next week. We'll see you down the road. Cheers.